Welcome to the Time for Success podcast, where we dig into really all the areas of what can we do as business owners to be more successful in life by creating a better business. Because, well, I've got Mike Satterfield here, and Mike. I mean, why do we do business?
I guess to make money,
Well, we
to
make
provide for your
money.
family.
Yeah, we make that money to be able to do more things for our family and be able to
That's
have the
right.
life that we really want to, and so easy to get lost in it all sometimes.
Hmm.
So we want to help those business owners who want that, who we want to remind them of that and help them get there faster. Just accelerate that progress. So, like I said before, I've got Mike Satterfield here with me today, and so we're going to get into things like Google Ads and SEO and maybe a little bit of pay-per-click stuff and website stuff. So some digital marketing stuff. I think my voice just cracked, but some
I'm
digital
good.
marketing stuff. And,
Yeah.
so, Mike, though, before we get into all that other stuff, I want to ask you a little bit more about what it is that you do for your clients, and what got you into it.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say the first thing that I do for my clients is improve and increase their digital presence online so that they get more leads for their business. So that's, of course, first and foremost through their website, and then also through any marketing services like Google Ads or Facebook Ads, SEO, Google My Business, video production, those kinds of things to help to
Hmm.
grow their business online.
Okay, so there's all sorts of decisions that we can have in life and roads that we can take. What got you into digital marketing and websites and all that stuff in the first place? How'd you
Well,
land there?
yeah, that's a good question. So I actually started off as a pastor in church world, and ever since I was a youth pastor in my 20s, I taught myself how to do design, graphic design, logo design, web design, video production. So even from the 90s, I was building websites and building logos for the youth group and for the church. I even started a couple of new churches, and that created a lot of opportunities for me to build this in. And so that's what got me started. Everyone kept saying, you do such a good job with this. You should do this for a living. I didn't really want to do it for a living, but at the same time, I didn't know what I didn't know. Eventually, I was invited to a business networking group where someone asked me to build a website for them as a business. So now I'm doing a business website as opposed to church websites. And it kind of was a different world, different ball game. And and I had to learn about funnels and conversions and all of that kind of marketing lingo, and I got real excited about it. And so I decided to start doing it full time.
I mean, especially with modern churches and how big they are on all the audiovisual aspects. I mean, it's kind of a natural lead in to being able to do it for businesses. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's fantastic. So I guess you showed up at the networking meeting and God kind of maybe, gave you a path and showed you the way, huh?
Well, yeah, he did. That very day, a contractor actually asked me to build a website for him. He asked me how
Hmm.
much I charged. I didn't even know at the moment how much I would charge for such a thing. So I designed a website for that contractor, and he's still a client. I'm still doing Google Ads and SEO for them as well. So it's been fun.
That's
That
great.
was the beginning of the journey.
That's fantastic. And you're a family man too, right?
Yep. I have a beautiful wife and 4 children.
Wow, 4 children. That's a
Yeah,
lot these days. How do you keep track of it all?
I don't. I say their names wrong all the time. You go
Right.
through all of them before you actually hit the right one.
Eventually get it right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that, even with, I mean, I do have, a dog and 2 cats. So
Okay.
sometimes, they get thrown into the mix there when you're listing out the names. So,
Yeah. Right. I don't have that problem. Although my kids are begging us for a dog, and
right.
my wife and I are
Right.
resisting big time.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be great. I mean, there's downsides too, but they can be great. I do love animals. So,
Yeah, I would like to get a dog too. I just, man, we already have 4 kids, and so
right.
having another dog is like we have enough drama in this house. If you guys can prove that you'll be responsible to take care of the dog, then
Well,
maybe
yeah,
we
I
can.
think that's a great parenting tip right there. Get them to step up and do other chores first to show that they can take care of the dog. So you
Right.
just get in the habit of them doing those chores, and then as a reward, maybe you can do the dog. That's
Yeah,
good. It's
that's
good.
what we've been telling
Yeah.
them, and they keep throwing it back. Well, why don't you get us the dog, and then we'll prove. It's like, it's not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Well, they say too, like, shouldn't you get a plant first? I mean, you're supposed to
Oh,
get a plant, see if you can keep that alive, and then that way, because if you forget to feed the dog, like you forget or to water the plant, then it's much more traumatizing than if you forget to water the plant.
right.
So
Well,
just
I haven't heard that. I might try that.
right. Everybody gets like a little rose or something.
We got a fish, and we killed that. So
Oh, yeah. Shoot, yeah, they're not very robust. A dog's a little bit more robust. So,
yeah.
so, so going back to things. So, what's the difference? What do you feel like is the big difference that you had to kind of learn or overcome, or just in general for the difference between kind of like the digital stuff that you were doing for church versus business?
I think that with church, at least for me, I was thinking more about what looks good and what's pretty and what's
Yeah,
attractive and what's going to get people to maybe sign up for that camp or whatever.
yeah.
And then whenever I
So
started
that's a
doing,
conversion, though, right? Getting
it
somebody to
is a
sign up for a
conversion.
camp. Yeah,
Yeah, but I just didn't think of it that way.
right,
I
right.
thought of it as like, I'm just trying to attract you. This is going to be the best camp ever. You've got to sign up for it. Looking back, they were going to sign up anyway.
Right.
That's probably true. But it was fun. It was fun to make those videos. But then
Yeah.
when I started doing business, I realized and learned that it doesn't necessarily matter how pretty your website is. I mean, I still focus heavily on design and I want it to look good. It needs to especially look good on a mobile device so that you can,
Right.
navigate clearly through there. But it doesn't really matter how pretty your website is if no one sees it. And
Hmm.
for businesses, you have to be found when people are ready to buy.
Right.
And so that was a completely different ballgame.
Right. There's a few components that I think are often overlooked when it comes to websites, and the importance of it, or where the importance really lies. I've
Mhm.
seen people pay $20,000 for a website that there's no way to get people there. So they spend
Yeah.
$20,000 for a very expensive business card. Because
Mhm.
a business card doesn't do much good just sitting on a desk. You have to go out there and hand it to people,
Yep.
right? So you,
That's
you
right.
gotta. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's a I think a pretty keen insight. But yeah, I mean, I think that especially with what you're trying to do to make it compelling for kids. I mean, they want to see fun. They want to see the excitement. They want to see good quality, especially younger kids. I mean, the kids, young adults. I mean, they're all very technologically inclined, and kind of grew up
Yeah.
in a pretty AV advanced world, I guess you could say. So I guess
Yep.
that really honed a lot of skills there for you.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah,
And it was years ago that I did that. I my kids now are going into youth ministry, and I visited his youth group, and they're talking about Twitter and Snapchat and all these little hip things, and I'm like, man, I thought it was hard just to manage Facebook. Now you've got so many different TikToks and everything. It's
yeah. Do you TikTok? Are you a TikToker?
You know what? Because of COVID-19, I've been at home and I've been
Yeah,
just kind of like dipping into it to see what it's all about. The big digital marketing gurus are all saying that businesses need to get on there
yeah,
because
yeah.
you can grow an audience quickly. But I'm still just watching. I've created an account so that I can watch.
Right,
Um,
right.
but it's very
Yeah,
similar to Instagram, super similar to Instagram. Just
yeah. It's not all that different.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a few videos up there too, but yeah, we probably both need to up our TikTok game, I guess. So,
I need to get started. Yeah.
all right. So let's just dig right in, right? So there's so much activity online, and we've got our phones connected to us online all the time. We're always clicking through things. If we don't know something, we Google it to find the answers. Yeah, it's hard to pull ourselves away from the phone. So, I mean, how often do you think people are turning to digital resources to really find a local business?
Oh, man, all the time. I mean, that's the only you wouldn't do anything else, right? If you have to find a business, the first thing you're going to do is go to Google, right? You're going to do a
Yeah.
search on your phone. I still think it's crazy that the Yellow Pages still delivers to our door. What I mean?
Right.
Why do you
Right.
give me this thing that I'm going to throw away? Save a rainforest. I don't even want to have to flip through the pages alphabetically. And even if you don't know how to spell, as soon as you start typing into Google, Google just finishes it for you. So I
Right.
would say that it's huge, the number of people. It's like unbelievable how many. I wish I remember the quote, but it was something I shared something the other day on Instagram. It said that 6,000 searches are happening every second of every
Wow.
day. So, and that's for businesses. So look, with the near me search, looking for near me
Just
searches.
a near me search.
I
Wow.
believe so. Yeah. I'm just throwing statistics out. I may have made it up, but I remember
Yeah.
seeing
I
that.
mean, 67% of statistics are made up on the spot. So, I mean,
Let me just Google it real quick.
yeah, wait, can you just Google it and find the answer real
Yeah.
quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. There
I'll
we
just
go.
tell you what it is.
We could just do a Google search, live Google search right now. Just talk to your phone. Just tell it what you want to find.
Okay.
All right.
All
All right.
right.
Here we go.
How many?
Live Google search. All right. Oh, you're not going to use the voice option?
Oh, I guess I could have. I was being polite, or at least I thought it was. Google receives over 63,000 searches per second on any given day. And so that's
63,000 searches.
63,000. And so I think the quote that I was sharing was something like 6,000, and that was just for
Just
businesses.
yeah, just local businesses looking for that near
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
You're
that's
right.
kind of crazy. I do work with small businesses. Sometimes they don't quite have the budget, to immediately jump into and build a website. And so, there are some things that it can be done, to generate some business. But ultimately, you have to be working towards at least, being able to put up some sort of digital presence, some sort of website, something that's going to help people to better understand what you do. It really shouldn't be something that you kind of push off. I mean, I have seen some businesses that just kind of used Facebook, just as kind of their website. So they never actually really built
Right.
built their own website. They just I have seen some that are a little bit more savvy and at least get a URL and redirect the URL to their Facebook page, and at least that's
That's a step.
something. Yeah, it's a step. I actually
Man.
saw a car the other day though, that had the full Facebook URL
Oh my gosh.
on the car. I mean, they did
Like,
the whole like decals and all that. So it was, yeah, www.facebook.com/ their business name. I'm like, oh well, okay. Maybe I should at least call them and say, hey, at least like pay the $12 and
yeah,
re-forward a URL to your Facebook page. Just do yourself a favor. But they already paid for the
exactly.
the
Yeah.
car decals, so I guess it
That's
was
long. That's a
like
lot of words.
it was,
I
and it was
actually
very
just
small. It was
I
very
actually
small.
just recently got a client, and this is nothing against this client. Most people will tell you, I don't know anything about this, and I don't want to. I don't want to
Right.
know about Facebook and digital marketing. But when you sign up for your Google My Business account, that's your map listing for your business.
Yeah.
Google will always give you $100 for free of advertising.
Yeah.
So, test us out, $100 free Google Ads. And so this particular client had said, yeah, why not? Yeah, and signed up for it, but didn't have a website. So push those ads to Facebook. So
Oh,
he's paying for Google Ads. When they clicked on it, it would just go over to Facebook. And of course, he wasn't getting any leads. And everyone knows that as soon as you get on Facebook, you're going to spend the next 45 minutes forgetting what it was that you were there in the first place for.
that
Right.
is a
So,
challenge. Yeah.
yeah. So
Absolutely. I mean,
so I just recently took that away, got him a website, put him a landing page, driving it.
right.
Now we're drive ads to there. But yeah.
Right. Right. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I think back in 2005, you had about 12 seconds for the average attention span. But I think by like 2018, 2019, I think the most recent research says that we're down to about 8 seconds of the average attention span.
Oh
So,
man, I believe it. I think it's
as
less
soon
for
as somebody gets on Facebook, it's like, oh, hey, look at all these missed alerts. Now I got to go look at those, and then maybe I'll
me. Yep.
remember to go back and look at your page. So yeah,
Right.
I hear you. So
I heard a quote once that said, if you've got 5 minutes to kill, Facebook's a great place to spend 45 minutes.
so true, so true. Yeah, sometimes because you get in that habit of picking up the phone. I know that I do that as well. And so whenever I want to sit down and focus, I'll either turn my phone off or put it somewhere where it's out of reach,
Mhm.
where I know I can't be distracted by it, because I know that,
Right.
Facebook
Yeah.
or something like that, my ding, it'll flash, it'll make the phone vibrate or something like that. Or, Samsung does have a nice focus assist program that allows me to also, I can just focus on the specific app. So that's nice. But going into the meat and potatoes, what people are here for. Like let's talk about these websites, okay? So there's landing pages and squeeze pages and just a general home page, and there's all these pages in a
Sure.
website, right? So maybe it would help them a little bit if we kind of told them a little bit of a difference first of all, and then we can maybe get into really what are some key components when they're putting together kind of their website. What do they need to think about? So first of all, I'll let you hit up on that. So what's the difference between like the home page and like the general website pages versus like a landing page versus the squeeze page?
Yeah, so I would say the difference between a website and like a landing page or a squeeze page would be first, a website is like a complete package. It's generally 4 to 6 pages where you have a home page, and then you've got a couple of other, about us, contact, and then I tell contractors they need to have service pages. So let's say, for instance, you're a landscaper and you have different services that you offer: mowing, hardscapes, tree trimming. And so on that homepage, you want to put that, we got mowing, we got hardscape, we got landscaping. And when they click on that, that's an internal link that leads to these other pages. So that's a full website. And the homepage just has everything about all their services in a nutshell to help them with that. The difference between that and a landing page is a place where you can think of it as a place where people land. So if you're advertising on Facebook or Google, or even just sharing a social media post, you want to think about where they're going to land. And do you really want them to land on your homepage where there's all kinds of options? You'd rather them land on a very specific page that's giving them specifically what they want.
Right.
So for instance, with a Google ad or a Facebook ad, if you throw an ad out there saying, we're the best hardscape company in St. Louis, click to learn more. When they click, you don't want to take them to your homepage where you talk about all those other things that you do. You want to land them on a landing page where they're kind of focused to have a call to action. You clicked here because you're interested in landscape and hardscapes. Here's some information about our hardscapes. If you want a discount, click now. So they're really kind of like in a funnel. They landed here and then they move down to a call to action. So they're not distracted like like we talked about Facebook.
Right. Well, and I think that's key too. That people don't. I've seen it a lot of times where just kind of people will have the ad, but it'll take them to the general website, and then people are lost. And so now, do you typically recommend folks build the landing page as a part of their site, or what about like a lot of those landing page tools?
Landing page tools.
Yeah, like lead pages and all those.
Well, I mean, I guess it just depends on what you're comfortable with and what you're good at.
Yeah.
I would think, from the way we do it, is we try to put it all on their website. And the reason why is because if you're driving traffic anywhere, you want to drive that traffic to your website. It increases your SEO. It increases your Google sees, look, more people are coming to this site, so it must be a good site. If you're paying money to push them somewhere else, it almost seems counterintuitive. Although in some situations you'll need to do that if you don't have a very good website, or you don't have one at all. You need a landing page.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Lead pages and funnels, click funnels or whatever. I think it's a perfectly fine place to start.
Especially if you've got kind of like multiple steps that you want to kind of bring people through, I think is typically kind of where it might work. Or if somebody's wanting to throw up a lot of different squeeze pages or something to try a lot of different things out, sometimes that can be helpful as well. From what I've seen working with folks. So yeah. What was that?
Split testing and all of that is helpful in those kinds of platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to like digital marketing, I think you were mentioning before about like there's kind of like 4 main things that you always advise people to at least start with, or at least work towards in getting the basics. What are those 4 main things?
Yeah, I would say the 4 foundational things that every business needs if they want a good online presence or just a basic marketing campaign would be first their website, because everything leads to their website. All their other social media, et cetera, is going to eventually lead to the website. So they need a good website. Yeah. And then secondly, I'd say they need, because they're a brick and mortar business, they need local SEO. which
Mm.
would be Google My Business, as well as just building out those other citations on Apple and Bing and et cetera. But then really optimize the Google My Business and get a ton of reviews, as many as you can, 50 to 100 reviews, I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And just, ask your grandma, ask your mom, ask your friends, ask your business network, just ask everybody to leave you a review. That will help get you on maps. And a lot of people are searching on, not only do they use maps to search for businesses, but Google just throws that map on that first page when people are looking, for businesses near them. And
Mm-hmm.
then the third thing I would say is I really think pay-per-click advertising is good for business owners,
Mm-hmm.
particularly contractors. And that's one way to get on the first page of Google almost overnight. And so SEO it's a marathon. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work.
Yeah.
But with pay-per-clicks, you can get there. It's a sprint. You can get there today and start getting leads. And with that, you're starting to drive traffic to that website. That website starts to grow. And you can collect a lot of data. You can learn about your, the demographics, et cetera, of the people who are coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
what did I say? So the website first, and then
Right. And you said pay per
local
click.
local SEO
Local SEO.
second.
Yeah.
Pay per click is great, and I recommend driving that because that's what you need. You need money, and that's going to get you the money. And then lastly, I think a great video. I mean, we live in the video world. Everyone is just addicted to video. I
Mm-hmm.
can spend hours on YouTube. Tell you the truth, I'll confess to that.
Yeah.
And so people love video. So if you've got a nice quality video on your website, on your social media, you can take that video and put it everywhere. But it's just really I'll tell you, if I go to a website, that's the first thing I'm looking for. Just give me 20, 30-second explanation of what you're offering.
That's
And
great. That's great.
they do that. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people want to see it. They just
Mm-hmm.
want to see what's going on. Actually, one of my chiropractic clients, we've put out a series of videos that shows, even with the COVID-19 stuff, we put some stuff
Yeah.
out in terms of like the steps that they're taking just to show people, because people are visual. Just putting out there like this is what we're doing is just not enough in a list. You really need to give people an ability to see it. And then also even just being able to show the actual adjustments and just kind of showing the work that you do, and people love to see that. Like it's different whenever it's like, oh yeah, well this is the list of the things that we do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's great. But whenever people see it, they just engage. And
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting too, and I'm sure you know this too, and I'm sure you tell your clients this, but whenever we see a human
Mm-hmm.
face, and it's
Right.
talking to us and interacting with us, or seemingly to interact with us, even
Yeah.
though
Yeah.
we might not be talking back, it instantly starts to build that relationship with them. Just, I mean, almost like they were sitting right there across from you. But the
Yeah.
more that people see that, they build a relationship with you, their team. Oh yeah, I know him. I saw him in the video, especially if he
Right.
comes over to my house and does some work. So yeah, it's very, very powerful to just immediately help people to just start
Yeah.
engaging. They feel like they're kind of a part of it. They feel like they understand it better, and then the
Yeah. Yeah.
subconscious.
No, I totally agree. And I was going to say the same thing, actually. I mean, we are used, I think, as a human species, we're used to this talking head thing. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
And when a business has the owner or some friendly face talking to, the potential customer, it immediately makes you feel like these are real people and these are people I can trust. At least I can see them. I think it's
Right.
important. That's
Right.
why Facebook is called Facebook, because it's all about faces. We want to see
Right.
faces.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it goes a lot into that trust component. I want to look somebody in the eye,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can kind of tell if there's somebody that's sincere when they're talking, or if they're seemingly somebody that you'd want to deal with, right? What about, would you say, kind of in all that too, how does social media play a role in that digital presence, do you feel?
Well, I mean, social media, of course, is important. Anyone would be foolish to say it's not. It's huge, but it just depends. I would say social media depends on what kind of business you have. So
Hmm.
if you, I mean, I think everyone should be doing social media. First and
Right.
foremost, it does send out social signals, and Google sees those and knows that you're a real, live, legitimate person who's actually doing things, and so that's important. So you do want to be involved.
Yeah.
But I would also advise, and I advise contractors, be careful how much time you spend there, because it's not actually going to get you immediate results. Again, it's a long-term goal. But man, you could spend hours and hours and hours. I spent hours, this morning creating 7 posts for Instagram. And I just could not believe how long it took me to create these 7 pictures and then write these little captions and then schedule them out for the week. And I was like, gosh, I'm not going to do this every week. I'm either going to have to get faster or not do it anymore.
Right.
And in the end, all that's really doing is letting people know that I exist. It's kind of showing people that I'm here. That's good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not necessarily going to have a result this week. I hope it
Right.
does.
Right. Yeah. A lot of the times, especially if you don't have any sort of audience, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to really be able to start building some sort of audience, get some traction on the page. Otherwise, you're going to have to almost immediately start putting some money into, getting the ads just so people will see it. Because that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's hard to get any visibility on a page anyway, especially if you don't have any sort of track record of any sort of interaction. Like, you have to build that up, because it just won't be seen. I mean, it goes back to seeing is believing. And I mean, they won't believe if they don't see it. I mean, they won't even believe a list of whatever it is that you're talking about, or verb. They won't see it.
There's just
So
there's so much white noise, like we
yeah.
said, you get so distracted. You can be there for 10 minutes and hit the refresh button, and it's completely new information.
Right.
So I heard recently that Facebook's engagement rate on business pages is something like 3%. So even
Yeah.
if you had 100 followers and you posted something, maybe only 3% of those 100 followers see your post.
Right.
On average.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to pay. You have to put money behind. Facebook wants you to pay to play.
Yeah.
And if you're going to pay to play, Facebook can be great, I think, if you're selling something that people don't know they need. Like, for instance, I have a client who does radon mitigation. Well, a lot of people aren't thinking about radon. And so I think it's a good place to get in front of them. Hey, you know what? Radon can kill you. It's like smoking cigarettes, and your kids play in the basement next to that, sump pump. They might be breathing radon. Get a test. That is something I think would be great on Facebook, because if you see it, you're like, okay, you feel guilty. You feel like, as a parent, I have a responsibility
Right.
to at least
Right.
get that test. But if you're sitting at home, not that many people are going to be thinking, I think I'm going to Google radon right now. People aren't thinking about that.
Right.
However, on the flip side, if you're a roofing company, most people, I don't think, are going to pay attention to your Facebook ad about, we're the best roofing company in town. But when the roof starts leaking, they're going to go to Google and they're going to search for a roofer. And so I think it depends on what kind of business you have. If you have an emergency service business, I think Google's the best place to be. I always tell people, if you have a product that people don't know they want, Facebook's great. If you have a product that people want, Google's better, because they're going to go there and they're going to search.
Especially when they want it like right now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's that buyer's journey. There's they start with some sort of goal, or maybe it's a pain point, right? Something that the goal is to get rid of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next stage is that they become kind of aware that there's something out there that's going to help them achieve that goal or get rid of that pain point. And then they start looking at the benefits, and then they start realizing they've got some objections, like, oh my gosh, this might kill me. A little part of that lizard brain back there, that fight or flight, kicks in. And
Yeah.
and then once they get through all that, and they've done like a minimum amount of research to be like, okay, I'm good with this, then they'll get into that vendor selection. And another friend, they look at, they're Googling, okay, I want this, I need this.
Right.
And sometimes it can happen a lot faster, especially when like your basement's flooded. You're like, okay, yeah, I need somebody right now
Right. It stinks. Yeah.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that especially if you're not going to put any money into social media, if you're going to build it up, social media is great, I think, for bringing people along that buyer's journey, and helping them to understand why they need it, and following and learning and liking, and maybe if there's something that you can get into, people into some sort of like preventative or regular or something like that. But that goes into the like helping people to understand like why they need it. They don't know that they need it, so you're able to educate them and bring them along that. But yeah, when it's like I need it right now, then yeah, you bring up a great point with that.
Right. But if you've got the budget for it and you really want to go after it as a business entrepreneur, I think you should be in both places.
Yes. Yeah.
Grant Cardone, an author I like to listen to and read, he says your biggest hurdle is obscurity. People don't
Yeah.
know who you are or where you are. You can have the best product and the cheapest price, but if no one knows you're not going to sell it. So you need to
Right.
do billboards, web design, Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube videos. You need to be everywhere in order for
Yeah.
people to, jump over that obscurity hurdle.
Right.
And I think that's
Right.
true. Yeah. If you can afford it.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah. So, I try to help people to understand that that kind of stuff is kind of an ultimate goal, right? Once we get there and you've got the cash flow and we have really defined your target market, we know what interests them, we know how to get them to act.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we have to build up with that. It's typically not a good idea to build a business and start throwing out billboards, because
Right.
you'll waste a lot of money and people will drive right by it. They're great for if you've got a lot more money or a lot of money to throw into it, because that's branding. It's the difference between branding and direct response marketing. I mean, when you're talking about Google Ads, that's pretty much direct response,
Yeah, you're
because
right.
it's like, you've got a thing, I need it now, and so I'm going to act. But just putting your name out there and a picture of you smiling with your thumbs up, which you'll see my face down on 40 here, pretty soon, like that, just because it's fun, right? I guess with the billboards, you can kind of affordably do that these days.
Really?
If you just, yeah, yeah, but it'll only be up for a second, like once a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could do it.
Interesting.
But yeah, it'll be up at like 3 a.m., and so somebody might see your face
I
for that
know.
moment, 3 a.m. once a week.
When
But
you think about the big businesses, like these
right,
big HVAC companies and these big roofing companies that advertise during the Cardinals baseball game and stuff, they
right,
also have billboards and trucks and all that stuff.
right, yeah,
And I think that's great. Like I said, if you can afford it. I think the reason why I like Google Ads is because I have had huge success with it for smaller to mid-sized businesses.
yeah,
This is the first step. Get a website, get on Google My Business, and throw some ads out there and start growing your business. And then once you're bigger, you can go buy billboards and big old commercials on
yeah,
during the Blues
yeah.
hockey game.
Well, absolutely, because if you haven't gained any traction with something like Google Ads or maybe even Facebook ads, especially these days, or any of that, then there's a good chance that your messaging's off. Like
Yeah.
you're putting stuff out there that people just don't care about. It's just not connecting with them,
Yeah.
And so
My oldest son and I played this game with him about 3 years ago, and we were
yeah.
driving by, and I just made this comment. I'm like, "That is a horrible billboard." And he was like, "Why?" And I'm like, first of all, I couldn't read it. The font was so small and so
Right.
ugly. Second of all, I have no idea what that's a picture of, and I still don't even know what it's a picture of. And then so
Yeah.
he said, "This is fun. Let's play this game." And so every time we pass by billboards, we're critiquing these billboards, and it's amazing how people drop a lot of coin on billboards that aren't even readable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there was one here, actually, just I think it was near O'Fallon, Missouri. And it was just a picture of a guy, like leaning back with his feet up. And I don't know if there were words on there. Maybe it was just, maybe it was just somebody having fun who had money to spend and they just wanted to, just put the
Yeah.
picture up on a billboard. Maybe that was always a goal because, I was thinking about doing something similar just for fun. But I'm like, if you're trying to sell
Are you
something,
serious? Were you really serious about doing that?
I don't know. I mean, maybe just me, no words, nothing like that, and then just have a picture of me, just with my thumbs up. Hey,
I've seen you around. Yeah.
I remember your face from somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I hate to, beat a dead horse, but I think that's why I like digital marketing is
Yeah,
because digital marketing happens right then and right there. Like if
yeah,
I see an ad on Facebook, I'm either going to click or I'm not. Whereas if you
right.
see one on the road, you're just driving right by. You're just driving right by. You have
Well,
to
yeah,
remember, it has to be
yeah.
very memorable.
It has to be very memorable and have an easy way for somebody to engage. I mean,
Yep.
do you really have time to write down a phone number? Yeah,
I think that in the future, and if I were really slick, I would invent this. I think it's probably already getting invented, but there's probably going to be some like near radiation, whatever they call it, where your phone is near something and it picks up an
yeah,
alert. when you drive past a billboard, it would just pop up on your screen, a coupon or something, or on your phone, and you're like, oh wow. So then you could take action because that billboard is there, and then your phone just lit up and said, but then that would be really annoying, and you'd have to pay for ad blockers, and who knows what's going to happen. But I do think it's the future.
I saw this dystopian video, and it was a couple years ago that it came out. But there's actually also a movie on Netflix, and I can't remember the name of it offhand. But basically, like, you've got like contact lenses that are augmented reality.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would happen though is you'd walk down the street, and as you were walking down the street, you would see all the stuff by every store, by every person, by anything, by the cars that drive by, it'd always be blipping up,
Mm-hmm.
so you'd always be seeing all these ads all the time, everywhere. And it was just like so much noise that like,
It was like Blade Runner or something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah.
I think I saw that movie. There's a couple of Netflix movies about that.
Yeah. That one was, I guess, where somebody was able to augment, even what somebody was seeing. And anyway, but it's a fun movie. But yeah, that dystopian video about like just all the noise that they would see walking down the street. I mean, that's probably the future. I mean, Elon Musk wants to put a direct link into our brains, just kind of like the Matrix. That'll even be past the contact lenses. Aside from the abuse, I suppose.
Aside from what might happen.
And now we've just scared everybody. No, I'm cutting all my ads and I'm moving off to a farm and turning off the internet. I think that we totally backfired here, Mike.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean, but that's true, and it's so important to have analytics, and I think that that's a big gap that a lot of business owners have missed in the past, and they continue to miss, is like measuring the ROI of your marketing. A lot of times they don't think about it. They'll even pump money into their ads or wherever they're going to put it into any of their marketing, but they don't take the time to figure out how am I going to track it, and they don't take the time to actually look at it and figure out, okay, what can I do? You actually even mentioned a little word of a nomenclature, split testing. A lot of people don't know necessarily what split testing is. So explain what split testing is to everybody, please.
Sure. Okay. Well, so split testing is, again, if you're driving ads from social or Google to your website, you would create, in a sense, two different versions of that same landing page that will automatically decide which one to show. So sometimes it'll show A, sometimes it'll show B, and A may just have, a more direct click now, don't waste time. If you don't click, you're stupid, right? Yeah. And then B might be, with blue buttons and a little more subtle and la la la. And then you let this thing run its course. All this traffic comes to your website. The WordPress or ClickFunnels or whatever decides which ones to show, A or B, A or B, A or B, and then it gives you information at the end.
Mm-hmm.
As often as we showed A, people actually took action here, and as often as we showed B, this many people took action. And then you can say B works. You throw away A and you just run with B. Now your money that you're spending is even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it's going to convert.
Yes.
And then you might split test again. Now you have B and C, and you're going to see which one of those works better. But
yeah, it's a powerful tool. A lot of people too, whenever they go and they start marketing, whether it's direct mail or whether it's, heck, even networking groups, right? You talked about a networking group.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will just spend a lot of money on something and just, okay, well, I hope this works. I've heard that it's worked for some people.
Yeah.
But you have to find the right places for it, and you have to test it a little bit, and your messaging with it and all that. So even with like direct mail, I've seen a lot of times where people just put stuff out that's kind of lazy marketing. That's basically, oh, we're a homegrown business and locally owned, and they put that out in direct mail and they spend $5,000 blasting it out. Well, they've never taken the time to actually test if that's going to be a message that's going to get invited to respond.
Yep.
It's like, take some time, and you can do that very well with Google Ads or any of those, any of these digital marketing platforms. If you just put a little bit out, test it out, see what works, do the split testing, see if this message is more compelling than this message, and then you run with what's more compelling, and then you can test that that message and see if it works in other platforms as well.
Right.
So I think you bring up a great point there.
Well, and then
You know,
also,
go ahead.
yeah, just to jump in, I was gonna say retargeting is another
Mm,
like tool that you can use with digital marketing. So
read my
let's say
mind.
you ran a Google ad. What was that?
Said you read my mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So let's
good.
say you ran. I mean, this is where the money is. If you
Yeah,
run an ad to Google from Google to your website, but you also put Facebook's pixel or tracking code on your website,
yeah,
now you're pushing traffic. Let's say you just pushed 200 people to your website this month. Facebook tracks all that, tracks all these
hmm
little cookies, if you will, or whatever. And
yeah,
then now you can come over to Facebook and run an ad and just show it to those people. And you've seen it. If you've shopped for shoes and then you go to Facebook, next thing you know,
yes.
shoes are popping up everywhere. Um, I shopped for a gun safe the other day. I was like, I just need to
Mm,
get a gun safe. I've got all these, grandpa's giving me these guns and I don't want my kids to get a hold of them. And so I was Googling everywhere I go now. You see gun safes and I'm like, oh gosh, now I don't even want to buy one.
right.
But, but, but
He
as a
will buy one,
business,
folks. Though he's keeping his family safe, just so you know.
that's right. Yes.
No,
I got
no
a
negative
box.
comments.
Uh, but all that to say is that's powerful stuff to get over that hurdle of obscurity. So let's say that someone does look for a roofer and click on your link, and like you were saying about that buyer's journey, they weren't ready to buy yet or
Right.
tonight, and so they backed out. But then they went to Facebook, and now your ad is showing, and they start to subliminally feel like, man, I see this business everywhere. They must be really good.
Hmm.
I'm gonna at least give them a call. And then
Yeah.
your audience will continue to grow. You've running these campaigns for 6 months now, and that Facebook pixel audience just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, whenever you have something to say, you know that you want to say it to these people, not just to random demographics.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. And
powerful.
absolutely. I talk about drip campaigns with clients, and we create drip campaigns. A lot of times that's kind of through email. Powerful drip campaigns can also include other, physical mail, phone calls, and right.
Mhm.
But with
Hmm.
the retargeting that you can do, that's kind of like the more modernized version, if you will. But that's a new way, if you will, to be able to do that drip marketing. You put something out there that people have gotten interested in, and they've gone to a certain page, so it shows that they're interested in that, and then you can retarget based on that, and just show those people that message, and use your money so much more wisely, so
Yeah.
much more efficiently. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Well, I feel like when I hear stuff like this, I feel like that's the kind of stuff that Budweiser does or
Yeah.
Nike. You know what I mean? But it's gotten to the place where the small business owner can do it nowadays.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, if for anybody who's out there and they've got anybody who's managing their Facebook or they're doing it themselves, start looking at retargeting now. And so what I typically do when I work with folks is I help them to identify those steps along that buyer's journey, and I
Mhm.
help them identify some of those earlier indicators that somebody might be interested. Like maybe
Yeah.
somebody who's buying a new home or something like that. They might eventually need some remodeling services or something like that, or so if you can target based on some of those earlier indicators and start putting out some compelling content that might interest them, maybe, I mean, just as this is just for the sake of an example, but even if you're a contractor and you're doing home renovation, but you know that somebody's buying a home, you could potentially put out 10, the 10 things to look for when buying a new home that will prevent you from getting a money trap or something like that.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and so you can put that out there and hopefully grab their attention, and then you could maybe retarget because now you know that they're a home buyer and they're interested in that sort of stuff, and
Mhm.
continue to drip on them and retarget.
Hmm.
So that
Through
can
all
be really,
kinds of different things. Yeah.
yeah, you can do a
That's
lot
cool.
with that. Yeah. So you can hit them with the drip emails, you can hit them with the Google ads and the Facebook ads and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so now I know that there's also, like, you're telling me that there are 10 main principles that you want to hit upon with Google ads, or why they're beneficial for you, right?
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know,
Um,
like, one of them you talked about was buyer intent. I think we hit upon that already
yeah.
a
Yeah.
little bit, and because somebody when they're googling, right? They're
Yeah.
hitting they're hitting the Google and they're typing something in. They're typically looking for that thing pretty much right now or very very soon, right? And so you've got that buying intent, right?
Yeah, and Google statistics say that 60, I think it's 64% of people who actually have a buyer's intent
Mm-hmm.
click on Google Ads 50 times more than they would on Google Organic. And so
Wow.
if you've got an ad showing up there, and those ads are those first 3 or 4 listings, if
Yeah.
you're actually looking to buy something, when there's an ad, you'll click on it. And a lot of people think, I don't click on those ads. Well, if you're really in the mood to buy something, then you will. And statistics reveal that 64% of people click when they have buyer intent, which
Yeah.
is very important for, say, a contractor who
Right.
wants to sell things to people who have an intent to buy.
Right. Right.
That's
Well, and that's huge too, because it's that direct response idea too, because it's those people who are in that vendor selection phase or pretty close to it, and if you pop up at the top and they click on it, which I mean, I know that I will click on an ad up at the top before I go to page 7,
Oh,
in Google,
we go to page 2. Yeah.
or
I
page
don't think
2.
I've ever been to page 2. I don't know what it even looks like.
Right. Right. Is there a page 2? I think page
I
2 is a
just
lot.
always research something different if I don't get what I
Right.
want in the first page.
I hear you. I hear you. That's powerful. I mean, I'll click on ads. Of course,
Yeah.
I even sometimes, will be lazy and click on an ad. So if I like, let's say I have an account on something and Zoho is the CRM I use.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to get to like Zoho and I just happen to
I know
be
where you're
like
going with this. Yeah.
lazy and it's popping up on an ad, I'm like, oh, I need to go there anyway, and I click on the ad, and Zoho's
They
probably
just
gonna
got
like,
charged. I do
yeah,
it too because I know that they get charged for it, but don't do it to me. Okay. So if
all
you're
right,
trying
all
to
right.
go to my website, just go down to the bottom. Don't
Quit being
click on the
lazy.
ad.
Dang it, quit being lazy. All right.
Yeah.
So, and I think we hit that was another component. So like guaranteed first page results. I mean, you're going to be at the top every time, or one of the top few, whenever you have
Absolutely. Yeah.
ads. I mean, you won't be at the top of every search depending on how much money that you're spending, but when somebody sees you,
Mhm.
you'll be up at the top, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I've done lots of these ads for contractors and I did one for a dietitian recently. Within a day, she got a lead. She got a call because
Yeah.
people searching, boom, there she is. There's not that many other dietitians out there. So she
Right.
was there.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So there's instant
And
results. You can start getting leads this month.
yeah. Yeah. And we already hit upon retargeting, but even before you get to retargeting, you can be very targeted with it. Like when you direct mail, there's some services that are actually better
Yeah.
at targeting these days with direct mail, but it's still not quite as good of data as
No.
as the digital marketing, right?
Yeah, like when you do direct mail, you just got to choose a zip code or a postal region. But with any kind of digital advertising, you can narrow it down to interests, to demographics, to a median income, and to
yeah,
specific cities.
yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, I'm not just in defense of some of those direct mail folks out there. There's some folks who there are some systems that do have some more of the demographics, right? But it's not necessarily as up to date probably as the digital marketing for sure.
I don't know.
So
I've never tried those. I just remember whenever I was a church pastor and we were trying to, with door knockers and
right,
direct
right,
mail stuff. And golly, there's so many thousands of houses out there, and you'll hit them
right,
all.
right, right.
But you
Yeah,
got to hit them you got to hit them more than once. You got to do
yeah.
it. I think you got to do it lots.
Well,
To
you have to
actually,
retarget, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hit it
I
multiple
don't think
times
there's
and retarget.
anything. I don't think there's anything. I don't have anything against it.
Yeah.
Except for I'm tired of throwing away all my stuff that I get in the mail. It's like, come on,
Right, right, right. Yeah, no, I hear you.
80%
I hear you. You have to have a pretty compelling offer with that. But so yeah, and in cost effective too. You're talking about how cost comes into there because you can really control how much. Well, and that goes into control as well. But because I know you made mention that, but and we talked a little bit about how easy it is to control, turn it on and off, and all that. But cost effectiveness, especially if you're like even when we're talking about just trying it out a message, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to see if you can at least get some traction with something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah. It's cost effective because you're only paying for the clicks.
Right.
So
Right.
if you put your name, and I recommend doing this if you're going to run your own ads, put your name real big. You can't do all caps, but just put your name on that front headline. So you might
Yeah.
say, need a new roof, comma, big time roofing, so that way you're getting brand recognition for free
Mm.
unless they click on it. If they click on it, then you got charged. But if they don't click on it, they just saw your name and scrolled down, at least you got that brand recognition. Like I
Right.
said, for
Right. Oh yeah, that's kind of like almost guerrilla marketing, like, right? It's just.
yeah, right.
Wait, I don't even think we said the name of your company. What's the name of your company?
Silverback
Right.
Web and Marketing. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, geez, I can't believe we didn't do that. Yeah,
Just put it
Silverback.
on
So yeah,
right there.
You-
Yeah.
you're a fan of that guerrilla marketing, huh?
Well, it was just quite honestly, I chose the Silverback because I wanted to target contractors, and I felt like the gorilla. My wife, whenever I do, because I'm a do-it-yourselfer guy, so I've built all my furniture, and I do. But whenever I work like that, my wife says you're in your gorilla mode, which means get out of his way. He's got tools in his hands, and so I thought I should go with the gorilla. And I looked at the word guerrilla marketing, because there's a pun there.
Right.
But I like the Silverback.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Well, we're butting up on the time, so now everybody knows the name of your company, because I didn't hit that in the beginning. So what about your website? How do people find you? You have a
Um,
website?
I need to get one.
I need to get one of those.
You know a guy. Yeah, my website is silverbackweb.com. And in
Good.
fact, you can find me anywhere on any socials, YouTube, whatever, just by typing in the word Silverback Web, and I'll pop up.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. And what about calling or emailing? You got a phone number or email address you want to throw out there? Either one or none of them, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Phone number is 636-233-4722. And the email is mike@silverbackweb.com.
Oh, that's pretty clean and simple right there.
Try
All
to keep
right.
it less friction, the better.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so
If
much for
only,
being on today. Appreciate
if
it.
only my phone number was 1-800-GET-THE-GORILLA or something like
Right.
that.
Get the gorilla. Yeah. Yeah. You have to invest in that. Yeah. But all right. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on the show today. And again, my name is Matt Barbie, and I'm the founder of Time for Success. And what we do is we help business owners with the systems that they need to create the foundations for a business that's going to give them their time back. Great people who take responsibility, great sales and marketing plans, so that they can actually train their teams and help lift them up and empower them, and as well as what it takes in terms of financial management. How do you look at the numbers to know when you're being successful? How do you do the analytics
Mhm.
to make
Yeah.
good decisions for your business, informed decisions rather than just going from the gut. So if you want a business that can give you the life that you and your family dream of, please feel free to reach out 314-441-5423, or just reach me at matt@mattbarbie.com. Thanks again, Mike.
Thanks for having me.